Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
A state of emergency declared in sections of Jamaica's capital. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline from Monday, September 24th from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Declaring that his government considers the crime situation in parts of Kingston to be over and above the capacity of existing law enforcement, Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Sunday declared a state of public emergency in what's known as the corporate area. The implementation of the measure will mean the restriction of movement in troubled communities that have become crime hotspots across the island. These include Greenwich Town, Hannahtown, Jonestown, Tivoli Gardens, Rosetown, Trenchtown, Arnett Gardens, Denham Town, and Whitfield Town. Security forces have instituted checkpoints at several points within those communities, and police said Monday that at least 3 guns were seized and several people detained since the state of emergency was imposed. The Prime Minister said the measure was needed because police had limited capacity to deal with the high levels of criminal activity in the specified communities.
The government considers the crime situation in these areas to be over and above the capacity of existing law enforcement. The objective is therefore to degrade and erode the capacity of criminal organizations to operate and control these spaces, to break and indeed challenge the culture of criminality and lawlessness that exists in some communities in these areas, and ultimately to provide the space within which law-abiding citizens and regular policing can work together to maintain peace and harmony in these areas.
Holness made the announcement at a press conference, and he responded to questions about whether government should declare a national state of emergency instead of individual states of emergency in various communities.
State of emergency is not used as a knee-jerk response. The government has developed a national strategic plan to address crime and violence, and we are moving strategically, deliberately, and instrumentally to execute the plan. The government believes that there should be no community in which criminal organizations operate as sovereign powers. Every community where it is clear that criminal organizations and dons are operating as laws unto themselves will be addressed. We ask the public for their cooperation.
Over in Antigua and Barbuda, a resignation submitted by leader of the opposition United Progressive Party, UPP, Harold Lovell, has been rejected by the party's membership. But he's insisting that his move to step away from the helm of the party was the decent thing to do. Lovell, who led the UPP to a bruising defeat in the general elections in March this year, had resigned at the UPP's annual General Council meeting on Sunday. But the majority of delegates voted for him to remain in the position. Speaking on a local radio program, Observer AM, Lovell said his decision to step down had been in keeping with a promise he made ahead of the last elections, in which the UPP won only one of the 17 seats in Parliament.
I have made it very clear. I have no desire to stay on any longer, 1 minute longer, than my presence as leader is either required or desired. I had earlier said that I'm given a mandate, and the mandate is to take the party to victory. When a party wins, all are responsible. Everybody shares in the glory, everybody shares in the victory. When a party loses, the buck stops with the party leader. I accept that as a principle. And I therefore said that I was offering my resignation to this party because I didn't want to be in a position where people are saying, why doesn't he go?
Lovell, who was speaking on Monday, also expressed surprise at reports that some party members were not happy about the process which led to his resignation being rejected. They'd said it was flawed.
There was nothing unusual about the process. Everything went smoothly. We had over 140 persons present. I want this to be clear. I am not going to allow the party to go through another brutal leadership battle. When it comes to that, I can move ahead and let the party deal with that. I think it's very, very unfortunate that what happened yesterday, persons are now trying to cast aspersions on it. If they felt that way at the time, they could have stood up on a point of order.
Former Bermuda Premier Craig Cannonier was Monday morning sworn in by Governor John Rankin as the island's new opposition leader. He succeeds Jean Atherden, who resigned last week after 8 of the 11 One Bermuda Alliance MPs registered a vote of no confidence in her leadership. Cannonier will also put his name forward for a separate vote for the post of OBA leader, which is not expected to be held for at least another 2 weeks. He resigned as premier in 2014 over a controversy dubbed Jetgate, which surrounded the use of U.S. tycoon Nathan Landau's private jet to fly him and 2 of his cabinet ministers into the U.S. for talks with the businessman. Speaking after he was sworn in at Government House, Cannonier apologized for what he described as his error of judgment in the scandal.
Thus far, all of you know that my political career has been very colorful, hasn't it? I've experienced the good, the bad, and even the ugly part of politics, the thrill of victory, and of course, the pain and agony of defeat, the realities of public service. The greatest low was after having been given advice, I took a flight on a private jet plane to sell Bermuda. And in my naivety, I made the error, an error of judgment. And for this, Bermuda, I humbly apologize.
Police say an inquiry into Jetgate remains open, but Cannonier says he has a clear conscience and he's up to the challenge of leading the opposition in Parliament and holding the government to account. Meanwhile, OBA Chairman Justin Mathias has charged that the proper process was not followed in removing Atherden. He said if it had, Deputy OBA leader Leah Scott would be acting opposition leader just as she's acting party leader. Mathias said it was unprecedented that 8 MPs went directly to Governor Rankin and got him to swear in Cannonier. He contended that while this overriding of the party's constitution with the Bermuda Constitution, as he put it, was not wrong, it should have been used only as a last resort. The OBA chairman said the way things had unfolded had caused uncertainty and awkwardness within the party, and he believes Cannonier had started off on a terrible foot. In other news, a group that has been advocating for the retention of buggery legislation in Trinidad and Tobago is serving notice that it intends to make its voice heard following last week's High Court decision to modify sections of the Sexual Offences Act and make it legal for consenting adults to engage in anal sex. Otto Carrington of CNC3 News has the details.
One group, TT Cause, is opposed to the ruling and is now warning government against further changes.
So that is why, as a church, we have to mobilize. The answer is to mobilize the church to allow the government to know that the election is in 2 years' time. And the government, parliament must make laws that we want to see pass in our countries that will influence and affect our society in a positive way. And so that is where we are at this point in time, in pressuring the government. They have to respond.
Head of TT Cause, Bishop Keith Ramdas, says his group has a petition with 300 signatures condemning the modification of Section 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act. He wants the government to consider a referendum when it comes to sensitive matters like this.
And we do have referendum laws here, and I believe that they should have referendum laws to give the population the opportunity to choose what they want, and not a minority group come up and say, this is what we want in terms of the LGBT. But every minority group come up with their own way of life and policy, and it will affect the whole population.
He added that the churches affiliated with TT cause are not against the LGBT community. However, he believes they are imposing their lifestyles on the population. Bishop Ramdas says all the churches are now joined together to take action to protect family life in TNT.
We are getting there. The Council of Evangelical Churches, which represent the wider body of Christ, is really mobilizing now, and we are part of that council. So I'm just a voice on the outside giving support to the council. But where we are at present, the church is closer to mobilizing its full support.
The state has indicated its intention to challenge the matter all the way to the Privy Council.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, the police officer who shot a St. Lucian man in his apartment in Texas loses her job.
Their history have won the Women's ICC World T20 title.
I can sing now, I can smile now, I can laugh now, I've raised my hands now. A blanket beneath and the atmosphere that God made us so serene.
Dominica's World Creole Music Festival in 2018, October 26, 27, 28 at the Windsor Park Stadium in the capital city, Roseau. 3 nights, over 8 genres, 40 years of independence, one location, Dominica, the 20th edition of Dominica's World Creole Music Festival. For more information, like our Facebook page, Dominica Festivals. Visit our website, www.dominicafestivals.com for all travel, accommodation, and ticketing details. My love, my home, my Dominica. Building a resilient nation. See you there! Proudly sponsored by the Government of Dominica and Discover Dominica Authority.
The Dallas police officer who fatally shot St. Lucian-born Botham Shem Jean in his own apartment in the U.S. state of Texas has been fired. Amber Geiger was dismissed during a hearing on Monday. Jean died on September 6 after Geiger entered his home in the apartment building where they both lived. She claimed she'd mistaken his apartment for her own. She's currently out on bail pending a criminal trial. Attorneys for the St. Lucian's family, along with protesters, had been calling for Geiger to be fired ever since the shooting. The attorneys released a statement saying they saw the termination as an initial victory. Dallas County District Attorney Faith Johnson has said the case will be presented to a grand jury, which could decide a more serious charge than manslaughter. Jean's family received a welcome home last Friday, with students waiting at the airport chanting for justice for the slain St. Lucian. Well, it's time for Newsline Health, and this week the focus is on the Pan-American Health Organization's call for Caribbean governments to urgently step up efforts to implement effective tobacco control measures and save lives. PAHO recently published a new regional report on tobacco control in the Americas 2018, which acknowledges that several Caribbean countries have made some progress in implementing measures outlined in the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. Those measures include regulations to protect people from tobacco smoke by establishing 100% smoke-free environments, the mandatory inclusion of large graphic health warnings on all tobacco packaging, raising taxes on tobacco, and a total ban on tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. Even so, the Caribbean remains the sub-region with the lowest number of countries to have implemented the measures. Guyana was highlighted for passing comprehensive tobacco control law in 2017. That law now puts the country among the most compliant in 3 areas: protecting people from tobacco smoke, bans on advertising, promotion, and sponsorship, and mandatory large graphic health warnings on all tobacco packaging. St. Lucia and Barbados are following suit with the approval of measures to include mandatory health warnings on tobacco product packaging. Dr. Anselm Hennis, Director of the Department of Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health at PAHO, says these recent efforts are welcomed, and PAHO is hoping they will show other countries in the sub-region the long-term benefits that measures will have on their economies and, most importantly, the health of their populations. Because overall in the Americas, the number of tobacco users has dropped to 17%, which is below the global average of 20%. But that still means that 1 in every 5 adults above the age of 15 still uses tobacco, one of the main causes of non-communicable diseases. Dr. Hennis says, while we're certainly heading in the right direction in that regard, we're not moving fast enough on protecting the populations from the adverse effects of tobacco exposure. And pointing out that more than 2,000 people die each day in the Americas as a direct consequence of tobacco use, he warned that this epidemic will continue unless countries accelerate the speed at which effective policies are being implemented. Ahead in Newsline Sport, the West Indies coach calls it quits. The details when we return.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. During a storm or hurricane warning, charge cell phones.
Imagine a tropical getaway where you can indulge in unsurpassed cuisine, culture and adventure this side of the hemisphere at a special rate. Fall for Barbados this October and dive into the rich offerings of the Caribbean Sea or hear the stirring melodies of jazz at the Elan Trotman Jazz Excursion. Explore fine dining with our world-renowned Barbados Food and Rum Festival. Journey to our many attractions. There is so much to see and do in Barbados this October. Book today with code #4BGI.
Australian Stuart Law has quit as team coach of West Indies, the head coach of West Indies team, Cricket West Indies announced on Monday that the 49-year-old will leave his post at the end of this year. In a letter to CWI, Law disclosed that he was taking up a new role with English County Middlesex in the new year. Of his almost 2 years as head coach, Law said, quote, "It has been very enjoyable and I believe we have made tremendous strides forward as a team during the past 2 years. I would like to thank the players, staff and the fans for their support over this period. I have appreciated it greatly." End quote. Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams reacted to the resignation, saying that while he regretted Law's departure and the timing of it, he fully understood his reasons. And along with everyone at Cricket West Indies, he wanted to thank him for his dedication and commitment while in the role and to wish him the very best of luck at Middlesex. CEO of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave, is also sad to see Law going. He said, quote, "I am disappointed that Stewart is leaving, as I believe that we have made real progress under his leadership. I know it was a difficult decision for him and that ultimately the opportunity to work in England, where his family is now based, was a major factor in his decision. We will start the process to appoint a new head coach immediately." End quote. Well, prior to the resignation announcement, Law lamented that West Indies' lack of access to training facilities in India after the regional side was forced to use the ICC Academy in the United Arab Emirates to begin their preparation for the 2-test series that starts next week was not good. The Caribbean unit has spent the last week training at the stadium and will only travel to India on a Wednesday, just days ahead of their 2-day tour game against the Indian Cricket Board President's 11 starting on Saturday. Law said the ideal preparation for the squad would have been using India as a training base in the build-up to the series. West Indies opened a 2-day practice match against a UAE 11 on Sunday, racking up 345 for 5, with left-hander Shimron Hetmyers top scoring with 60, Shea Hope and Roston Chase both getting 51, and Sunil Ambrose 47. West Indies are scheduled to face off with India in the opening test in Rajkot beginning October 4th, before clashing again with the hosts in the final test from October 12th. Still in cricket, West Indies women captain Stephanie Taylor believes the recent drawn series against South Africa has highlighted the need for her side to improve in their consistency. The hosts lost the first one-day international of the 3-match ICC Women's Championship Series by 40 runs, but rebounded to win the decisive third contest by 115 runs at the Kensington Oval on Saturday after the second game was abandoned because of rain.
We still have way more to go. We still need to improve on our 50-over game. You know, we still need to get consistent where that is concerned. And I believe it's just consistency with us. We have the players to do it, so we just need to work on, being consistent.
West Indies were seen as favourites to win the series, but were stunned in their opener last Sunday when they failed to chase down a modest 202 in good conditions. Taylor described the defeat as a wake-up call that forced the squad to quickly pull themselves together and focus on playing a positive brand of cricket.
Well, I'm not 100% satisfied. Having lost the first game, I thought that we had to go back to the drawing board because, we know that South Africa has evolved and, they've been playing good cricket over the past few years. And I think that was a wake-up call for us that, we need to get things going and, we need to, get back to the drawing board and, go back to the game that we know we could play. And to the second game, I thought that we did really well to restrict them to, such total. And I believe that if that game played, we would have, it would have been a good game. But nevertheless, I thought that today we played, brilliant cricket.
Our attention to the actual match, West Indies piled up a venue record 292 for 5 off their 50 overs, with the 20-year-old Matthews stroking 117, the first 100 in the women's game. In reply, South Africa failed to recover from a rocky start and were bowled out for 177 in the 43rd over, with the captain top scoring with 77 and 19-year-old opener Laurel Vart chipping in with 54. CBC's Sean Green reports.
Jamelia Connell opening the bowling for the Windies, sending an early signal that they were in the hunt for a wicket, edging just short. It was Shakira Salman who would get the early breakthrough, getting Lazil Lee to slap this short lifter to Deandra Dotting at point. It's 3 for 1. Sunny Luce replaced her and immediately made her presence felt, driving Connell straight down the ground to get going. However, Connell got her sweet revenge. Next ball, Luce looping a simple catch to the bowler. She's gone for 4. It's 10 for 2. Dane Van der Kerk joined the party next, pulling Selman through wide-ish long on to get going. Darting into the attack, pulled away by the 19-year-old Laura Waldemart, powerfully through mid-wicket for her first 4 as well. This is Taylor bowling to her opposite number, Van der Kerk dancing and driving sweetly through the covers. Afi Fletcher to Walvart, cut with precision, dissecting point and short third man. No need to chase that, that's 4. Then she brings up her 50 with this single square of the wicket, brought up off 75 balls with 5 fours. Nick Kirk pulls out a sweep and a bit aerial but safe as well to bring her 4 more. Walvart got a bit too ambitious here, smartly stumped by Marissa Aguilera for a well-played 54 to break the 108-run stand for the 3rd wicket. Van der Kerk not buoyed by that wicket, swinging across the line through widest mid-wicket for 4 more. Darting to the new batter, Mignon Dupree flicked away straight into the waiting arms of Taylor. It's now 139 for 4. New to the crease was Chloe Tryon, trying a sweep with some success to bring her 4 runs behind square. Darting back from the other end, bowling a sweet water delivery, meat and drink for Van der Kerk, slapping that one away with disdain through widest mid-on. And once it got past the fielder, it's 4. Darting is back with a clever slower ball, deceiving Tryon. LBW for 5 is now 152 for 5. Marizanne Cap was next to go, LBW to Fletcher for 1. Turn around, ma'am. We're heading the other way, back to the pavilion. She made 1. Mazda Batter Class had her stumps rattled by a searing Yorker from Dutton. Clean bowl for 2 is 169 for 8. Nick Kirk was still there, flicked through mid-wicket, but some flashy work by Shadeen Nation brought an end to her innings, ran out for a top score of 77. And Taylor brought an end to the innings, the last batter going LBW for 4, South Africa, 177 all out.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Your luggage is overweight. Your luggage is overweight. How much I must pay?
No, you can't do it like that. You'll have to take some of the things out in the suitcases and put in a box or something.
You know, you're a wicked woman. A wicked fat woman.
Do you want a boxer?
Box me, no? You think so you're helping me strike me? Try a box.
Barbados, it's time to laugh again. Get yourselves ready for the Caribbean's funniest men and women. Fast Promotions Annual Caribbean Comedy Explosion. Saturday, October 27th, Sir Garfield Sobers Gymnasium, 8 p.m. Get your early bird tickets now and pay $60 before all are sold out at ticketlinks.com. All Ticket Links outlets nationwide. Jeans Inc. Sheraton, CS Pharmacy, Rubis Wildy, and Eddie Supermarkets Bitestown.
I come in here as a loner. I know you spot me from far.
This month on Caribbean Passport, we take a bite into Barbados at the Food and Rum Festival. We get an intimate look into this world-class event by top chefs and mixologists. And if that isn't enough spice, we visit Pure Grenada. All coming up right here on this station.
A recap of the major developments of this day. A state of emergency declared in sections of Jamaica's capital. And in sport, Australian Stuart Law quits as head coach of the West Indies team. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to canonnews.com. And for more of our programming, log on to carivision.tv and subscribe to Carivision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, Thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.